Coming to paperback and e-readers this April, Isis, Revenge of the Cyber Goddess. The goddess next door must take on the threat of a deadly digital diva driven to destroy the world in this action-packed all-new Isis series adventure. Get Isis, Revenge of the Cyber Goddess in paperback and e-readers this April. Last Friday, as I was doing my live stream deconstructing the Thirsty Guy, I had two of these high-value followers come into my live stream's chat looking to start trouble. And these individuals went into ad hominem attacks, trying to attack me as related to my personal life, and also wanted to try to attack me as related to points I presented in my September 4th live stream deconstructing the high-value man. Now, when I take a critical examination of these individuals, they show me how low their self-esteem is because they are going out of their way to defend the ideology of a man, Kevin Samuels, who lives thousands of miles away from them. And most men out here, they're not going to go to that extreme because any man out here who has been raised with any sort of discipline or self-esteem knows that it is not their job to go out here and defend another man out here. No, if that man has an issue with another man, he can go to that man directly, face to face, and they can address their issues in private. No man out here needs a group of beta acolyte followers to go out here and be able to defend them. No, that man will go out here and present his case to that other man, and they will settle their issues in private. Unfortunately, many of these high-value followers have that extremely low self-esteem, and because they place so much value in what Kevin Samuels says, they have to defend this man like a 5-year-old goes out here and defends the Power Rangers or Superman, because they don't understand that human beings are capable of defending themselves, and you getting emotional about what another person says about another person just shows how childish and immature you are as a person. Now, these individuals who came into my chat, these individuals only did this because many of these individuals mistake my kindness for weakness. Because here's a critical question I have to ask as related to these individuals' behaviors. Would you have gone into the chat of a Black Male Advice TV, aka Ringo's channel, to try to start something with him? No, I don't think you would, because he would have hard checked you right there. Would you have gone into the chat of a Tariq Nasheed looking to start something with him? No, I don't think you would, because Tariq Nasheed would have hard checked you. Would you have gone into the chat of a Mad Voodoo Man, aka the Iceman, looking to start with him as related to high value when he's talking about another topic? No, you would not have done this, because I know for a fact Mad Voodoo Man, aka the Iceman, puts up with no BS on his streams, and I know that you definitely would not go out to your Kevin Samuels live stream looking to start some mess with him regarding things I have presented in my own live streams, because you know that he would not go out and put up with that mess. Now, the reason why these beta individuals went out here to try to start trouble with me is because, again, they mistake my kindness for weakness. And they believe that because I go out here and just mute these guys that I'm being weak. But no, I am being professional, and I'm also being compassionate to these individuals, because I know that some of these individuals, they really don't understand how bad they're making themselves look. And to quietly mute an individual and just hide his comments, that is something that many professionals go out here and do, because they want to look out, one, for their own image and not go out here and appear to be cruel, and two, they do this because they don't want the individual to embarrass themselves, because this whole display that you're presenting shows how juvenile and childish you are. And that's something that flies over the heads of many of these beta males, because these beta males, their low self-esteem is so low that they have to live vicariously through another man, and they get upset when somebody talks and criticizes that man and their philosophies, and they take it as a direct attack on them. Again, that's something a 5-year-old does with the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, but grown men sit there and say, okay, if he's presenting talking points that disagree with this other individual, then I will listen to the arguments, and if I disagree with them, I will just accept what this man says, and if I disagree too much, what I will do is hit the red X at the top of the screen and be on with my day, because my time is too precious to listen to someone who disagrees with what I believe. Unfortunately, those with low self-esteem and no self-worth, they have to continue listening to somebody they disagree with, because these are some of the characteristics associated with individuals who are associated with cults. And when I look at a lot of these individuals who follow the high value man philosophy from a critical perspective, a lot of these individuals act like individuals who are a part of a cult. And when it comes down to cult members, as related to the website cultresearch.org, they bullet point several traits associated with cults and cult members. And one of the traits that I saw from those individuals who came to my live stream where I was talking about the deconstructing the thirsty dude was the excessive display and unquestioning commitment to a leader, a belief system, and an ideology, and seeing its practices and truth as law. And when I look at many of these people who follow this Kevin Samuels and his high value man philosophy, a lot of these people have become zealots to the point where you cannot really challenge this leader, you cannot challenge his ideology, you cannot challenge his arguments, and his viewpoints are seen as law. And if you try to challenge them, these individuals try to attack you when you question or doubt this individual, and some of them go berserk to the point where they want to even go out here and attack you, and they believe by doing this they can prevent any more dissent. Now, as I go down the bullet points, it talks about mind-altering practices and dictating how members should think and act. And when I look at a lot of the black males who are following this high-value man philosophy, a lot of these guys have had their minds altered, and they're following behind this guy, and they've changed their behavior to the point where they're no longer individual YouTubers with their own expression of viewpoints and expression of opinions. No, we've got all these black guys out here wearing these suits out here and trying to talk about they're trying to aspire to be high value men. And when I look at that, again, I see cult-like behavior, because normal men can look at another man and say, okay, that's that guy, that's his style, and they're not going to want to follow another man. Now, I remember way back when I was doing my videos, I used to wear shirts and ties in many of my early videos because I wanted to try to present a professional image, and I never really thought much of it when I was doing it back then, but nobody wanted to copy me back then. With this other individual, you have all these guys out here with suits and ties, and they're going and doing this all because they want to follow this guy. And again, that's quite troubling, because again, when you look at them and you look at they can't challenge his ideologies, that's cult-like behavior. And another point that's presented here that really shows me how cult-like this high-value man philosophy is the group is elitist, claiming a special and exalted status for itself, its leaders, its members, and the leader is considered a messiah, a special being, or an avatar, or then the leader's mission is to save humanity. Now, your high value man is a very elitist ideal, and the ideal of the high value man is you're supposed to be this well educated black man who makes six figures, goes out here and is a part of a major university, is part of sorority, not a sorority, but a fraternity, and is a part of big level organizations. And a lot of these followers, they want to be like this. They want to be a part of this elite group, and they believe that if they become this high value man, they will become the type of man that is considered to be attractive to most women. So what they want to do is follow behind this leader and trying to aspire to achieve this goal. And that's par for the course with cults, because a lot of people wanted to follow behind guys like Jim Jones and guys like David Koresh, because they wanted to be a part of an elite group and they wanted to achieve some sort of success as part of that group. And that's what I'm seeing with a lot of these high value acolytes, is they want to follow behind your Kevin Samuels because they want to be the high value man, and they want to follow his approaches in the hopes of becoming a high value man, even though many of these men have never seen or discovered their own value as I see it, because the low self-esteem they have, and they cannot see the value they have as related to the Most High Living God. Because according to the Most High Living God, all men have value, and they are valuable because he created men, and he created men for a valuable role here on earth, and that role was to be a steward here on earth, taking care of his work on earth. He made the man to be a head and a leader, but most men don't value that because they want to fit into a world standard like that presented of the high value man. Now, another talking point that fits right into that is what I see with a lot of these high value guys is they have a very polarized us versus them mentality. Now, these high value followers, they have this very polarized view that anybody who disagrees with their opinions regarding the high value man philosophy and manhood in general, they are an enemy, and we need to eliminate those individuals. And that's a very, again, dangerous thing, because it's not the world us versus them. It is people presenting opinions to you, and they are presenting observations that they are making about things. And if you cannot remain objective enough to hear a counterpoint, then there's going to be problems, because sometimes from the counterpoint you can get a fresh perspective on things. Unfortunately, many of the high value acolytes out here, they cannot see any sort of counterpoint because they are so caught up in their feelings about their leader that they cannot see that different and diverse viewpoints allow you to gain a broader perspective, and that everyone who disagrees with your points is not your enemy, and in many cases they are your allies, and they're trying to get you to see a broader, more panoramic picture of these approaches and how destructive they are. Because when you have an elitist view like the high value man, you really cannot see the value of a man as related to God and his natural order, one, and two, you cannot see the value of everyday working brothers out here and how many of them may possibly meet the criteria for being high value men. Now, when I look at these blue collar brothers out here, the guys who are motormen at the MTA, bus drivers at the MTA, mechanics, auto workers, auto body guys, these guys work hard with their hands, and these guys in many cases make more money than your high value man because their skilled trades pay way more money an hour for their labor. And some of these guys with overtime make well into the six figures of $200,000, $300,000 a year. And these guys know how to make just as much money as the high value man, but according to the high value man philosophy, these men would not be considered high value because they went to trade school and not to some university, and they're not part of some fraternity. They're not considered high value men, but they make twice as much money, and many of these men live far better than many of your white collar guys. And that's something that flies over the heads of the high value man acolytes, because they want to be accepted under a gynocentric view of black manhood. And one of the things that these high value cult members, they really want to go out here and follow behind this guy, because really they come from a very submissive and subservient viewpoint as related to things, and what they are doing as following him is creating a covert contract so that they can go out here and win the favor and approval of women. Unfortunately, when they do this, again, it shows how weak many of these black males are, because a black man who has self-esteem, discipline, and self-confidence, he knows that there's only one being he follows, and that is the Most High living God, and he does not need to follow anybody else out here, and he does not need to seek the approval of anyone else. He knows that if he is with the Most High God, he is perfectly fine, and he doesn't need to go out here and win the approval of somebody else, and he does not need to get his value from somebody else. He knows that he can go out here and be accepted by the Most High God. Now, these bullet points go on to say that this leader is not accountable to any authorities like teachers, military commanders, priests, or anybody like that. And again, when I look at the high value man philosophy and the man who preaches it, he's never held accountable to any standard. Oftentimes, when people challenge this individual, you get a wall of acolytes and sycophants who come out here and look to defend him, but he never can stand up on his own and defend his own talking points the way I can go out here and defend my own talking points and present my own arguments to be able to rebut any arguments. That's what a man of character can go out here and do. He can present his arguments, and he does not need followers to speak for him. No, he can speak for himself, and he can engage anybody who challenges his talking points and a face-to-face situation. And he does not need to go out here and have these beta followers go out here and do this. People who want to go out here and be the defense of this individual, but a man does not need another man to defend him. He can do that himself. Now, this bullet points also go on to talk about how the group teaches or implies, supposedly, how the ends justify the means. And this might possibly, as I see it from these followers, they follow this philosophy because, again, they believe that defending these ideology, the ends justify the means. And they will go as far as breaking the boundary of violating the whole ethics by going to another man's live stream to attack him from sideways, because that's unethical as I see it. When a man goes out here and debates another man, again, he does it in private, and he doesn't look to try to embarrass another man like those beta males did during the live stream. No, those men can go head up, and those men can debate and discuss things in private. They don't go out here and use underhanded tactics like that. And again, only cult members do these type of things, and they do that because they are just scared that the arguments they're presenting are weak. They know they cannot come to you face to face because they know that their arguments are extremely weak. And these cult members, they cannot stand on, they cannot let their boss stand on their own 2 feet. So they have to come out here and make the sacrifice because they have this whole thing that they're thinking that if they defend them, they will get some sort of benefit from it. Now, the bullet points also go on to talk about how the leadership induces feelings of shame and guilt in an effort to influence its members, and we have seen this with the high value leader as he has verbally abused and berated individuals who call into his platform. And this is done for two reasons. One, to guilt and shame the individual as related to the video that he's making, and two, to make the other people who are watching feel peer pressure and think that this is okay. So it's clearly we see some cult-like behavior right there. I mean, using shaming tactics, and that's what those individuals tried to do in my live stream, talking about, oh, you're almost 50 years old, you don't have a girlfriend. And I looked at that and I said, I know what you're trying to do, and that's why I quickly just deleted the comments and then hid the individual, because I know what these individuals, I know these psychological tactics that these individuals try to do. I've been dealing with this since I was 12, 13 years old. So I know about the shaming tactics these individuals do, and they try to use peer pressure and persuade people to follow the group. And you can't do that unless you are wanting the acceptance of the group. And as a guy who walks alone and has been walking alone since he was 13 years old, I know that the group sometimes is not a good way to follow, because if the group is following down a road where they're about to drink some poison Kool-Aid, then I don't want to know what the flavor of it is. Now, another talking point that it presents is subservience to the leader requires members to cut ties to family and friends. I don't think we're at that extreme yet, but we have another point here that I found to be interesting. It said the group is preoccupied with making money, and I believe a lot of the high-value cult members are preoccupied with the high-value man gimmick, because they see this guy making a lot of money, him getting $300, $200 super chats, and see him making thousands of dollars. So they want to jump on the bandwagon to capitalize on that, but they do that at the sacrifice of their own individuality. So when I look at a lot of these black males out here, they are also preoccupied with making money, and they want to go up, be a part of this cult, because they believe that they're going to get some economic benefits as well. And this is something I'm seeing again with these high value guys, is they want to buy into this whole ideology because they want, one, social acceptance from the leader, two, they want attention and approval from black women, which is really a contradiction when you hear the way that many of these men talk about black women, and three, many of these guys, they just want that whole attention and approval. They want to become transformed into what they believe will be this high value man. So they want value, but what they want to do is they want value in a quick way that's quick and easy. So I look at, again, a lot of these guys I believe to be guys out here who follow this high value man philosophy, and I'm seeing a lot of similarities between them and your cult members, because again, only a cult member is going to go out here and try to defend a man and an ideology more than the living God himself. And cult members, they are always looking for something to believe in, because one, they don't believe in the Most High God, and two, they don't have enough self-esteem and self-confidence to believe in themselves. And because they do not believe in themselves, they need a leader to tell them how to think, how to dress, how to act. And that again shows the complete weakness of the black man. And many of these black men, they are so caught up in this cult, they cannot even see the subtle politics being played on them by this individual. Now, I personally believe that this individual is trying to change the narrative of black men on YouTube, because black men on YouTube are having an impact on the way people think. And the individual brothers out here who are a part of New Black Media, they are changing the way people are thinking, and many of them are talking about things like no tangibles, no vote, Many of them are talking about group economics and black-owned businesses. Many of them are talking about diverse frames of thinking, like I do when I talk about African American fantasy, African American science fiction, things like the Black Goth subculture. And what many of these mainstream people, they don't like the idea of black people having a broader frame of thought. So what they want to do is get black people back to the dysfunctional frame of thinking as related to gender war and relationships. And the high value man is a way to control the narrative as related to black men. Unfortunately, many black men are so caught up in trying to use this gimmick to get acceptance, they can't see the chess moves being played on the table to keep them from being individuals. Because individual black male YouTubers in new black media presenting different viewpoints gives people all over the world a broader and panoramic view of the black community and black issues. And I've heard this from people in the UK. I've heard this from people in Italy. I've heard this from people in South Africa, Australia, Canada. I mean, I've heard from people all over the world who watch my videos. They get a broader picture of things as related to black culture and the black experience. And the powers that be don't really want you to see that. So they come up with this high value man, as I see it, and have you buying into this. And they use this to try to control the narrative as related to the black male sector of YouTube. Because what they want to see black men doing is participating in behavior that breathes brand new life into old stereotypes. They want to see us buying into the whole thing of the black man who is just out here trying to chase women. And they want you to keep chasing the women, and they want you to be on this gynocentric road where you're out here following this leader, and they're all doing this because they want the attention and approval of black women. So that's really what it's about. It's about controlling the narrative of black YouTube. And I could see that with that threat talking about how they wanted to sue anybody who challenged them. Again, this is all about controlling the narrative and preventing voices from expressing differences of opinion, differences of ideas, differences of thought, and presenting us with a discourse where we see a broader picture of the black community. So when I look at this big picture of things, it's all about trying to take away your voice and keep you from being individuals, because that's what cults want to do to people. Cults don't want us to have different viewpoints, differences of opinion, differences of ideas, differences of beliefs. No, cults want everybody to follow monolithically behind a single leader, a single viewpoint, and a single set of ideas. And the high value man, as I see it, is cult-like, because we see individuals, they are just following behind the leader, and they don't want anybody out here who challenges the leader. Anybody who challenges the leader or their ideas are attacked, and these people, they have no ethics, and they will do anything to attack an individual, like this individual tried to do during my live stream, Deconstructing the Thirsty Guy. And the reason why they targeted that live stream out of all the other live streams that I have done over the past 5 months is because they want to control the narrative as related to relationship and men's issues topics on social media. And they don't want dissenting viewpoints, dissenting ideas, and they don't like the idea of a guy like me who presents a completely different image, because that makes them uncomfortable, and that makes people uncomfortable to the point where they're getting upset. And again, they want to follow behind the leader, the high value man, and the mainstream wants them to follow behind him because they want the black man chasing the black woman, and they don't want the black man taking the lead for himself. Because if the black man goes out here and starts to take the lead for himself and starts talking about going out here to build a black-owned business like I have with the SJS Direct imprint, and creating positive black fiction and nonfiction, or going out here and starting to talk even more so about black politics and getting tangibles and black empowerment. They don't like hearing those type of narratives, and they don't like those type of black men, because those type of black men have discovered their value as men, and they're not seeking the attention and approval of other men from and other ideas. Instead, they're forming their own ideas and establishing their own standards for black manhood. And that's something that scares many of the, high value cult members. That's what scares many of the acolytes and sycophants. It scares them because here I am presenting a different viewpoint, a different set of ideas, and a different narrative, and it runs counter to the mainstream's ideas and the mainstream's, as I see it, agents who want to go out here and push one narrative for black men because they want to have one black man who goes out here and tells everybody what the black experience is, and they want to have one narrative controlling everything so that all we hear is one viewpoint, and that is the high value man. Basically, they want this black male, Oprah Winfrey, to be like the old Oprah Winfrey who told black women everything to do, and have all the black women following like Oprah Winfrey did. They want to have the high value man have men following him in the exact same way, and being acolytes and sycophants and following in that cult looking for acceptance. But no man is supposed to follow anybody, as I see it, but the Most High Living God. And the Most High Living God is the only being I will follow. I don't look for the attention and approval of other men. I mean, when I was 12, 13 years old, I learned to start heading down the road to being my own man and thinking my own way. And you cannot shame me into thinking any way different, because I learned a long time ago that the group is not God's standard, and I'm supposed to follow God's standard and be my own man. And part of being your own man is not following the group, but going out on your own, because that shows how much character you have as a man. Now, many of these males, they're sitting there thinking, oh, I just snuck into a guy's live stream and I'm making these ad hominem attacks, and this is just showing how I'm going to embarrass him. But no, a man of character isn't embarrassed when he stands on the truth. No, a man of character will do what I did, at which he thought was weakness, and just hide you in the channel and let you go on continuing to post thinking you're doing something, instead of going out here getting emotional and arguing with you, because a man of character understands that there is more at stake. Because what many of these racist and white supremacists who watch these live streams, they get entertained when they see black men getting emotional, black men getting dramatic, and black men acting a fool over these guys. And I'm not going to do that, because I'm not going to give these white supremacists, these racists, and these white nationalists entertainment at my expense. No, I'm going to have the character to walk away from said individuals, because, like I said in a previous live stream, the greatest power a man can have is walking away. Because when a man walks away, he's leaving on his own power and his own terms, and he shows that he has the highest value because he values himself. And when a man values himself, he understands he does not need the approval of anyone else, and the only approval he needs is that of the Most High God. So he doesn't worry about what other men are thinking, and he doesn't worry about those types of people, because he understands what true value is. But sadly, you have many of these black males looking to find value, not understanding the greatest value comes from God. And the way you understand your value as a man is to start having a relationship with God, because he will show you what true value is, and he will show you the highest value when you have a relationship with him. Now, if you want to see me make more videos on this channel, you can donate to my Patreon, my PayPal, or my Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. And if you want to also help the channel, you can pick up some of my positive black fiction, like the ISIS series, the SelfEsteem series, the John Haynes series, the books of the Spencerella trilogy, the Thetas, or my men's issues books like Stop Simpin' and The Man Crisis on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find them on Smashwords, Google Play, and the iBookstore. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.
Coming to paperback and e-readers in 2021, John Haynes, Taking Care of Business. The man who rules the world breaks on a brand new partner to help him take care of business in this action-packed, all-new John Haynes series adventure. Get John Haynes, Taking Care of Business in 2021 at online booksellers everywhere.